Hi everybody, it's Craig with another video. I won't waste too much time on an introduction for this video because I think if you looked at the thumbnail, you know exactly what it is I'm going to talk about. I've been doing a series of videos on the federal worker OPM designation offer, and I've been doing some other videos with regard to that offer and some of the decisions that have been made recently in federal courts and with the administration. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into it, and I want you to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to give some information that I think will be helpful to not only federal workers, but just anyone who's looking for employment during this time. President Donald Trump, in collaboration with Elon Musk, has initiated extensive layoffs across the federal government, resulting in the termination of thousands of employees. This initiative, led by Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, aims to significantly reduce federal spending and streamline government operations. In the past, I would say 48 to 56 hours or so, numerous probationary employees, those who have not yet secured civil service protections, have received termination notices via email. Agencies affected include the Department of Veterans Affairs, the U.S. Forest Service, the Department of Education, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the General Services Administration. Notably, the Department of Energy has laid off between 1,200 and 2,000 workers, including hundreds from the office overseeing the nation's nuclear arsenal. These layoffs are part of a broader strategy to downsize the federal workforce by targeting a $1 trillion budget reduction. The administration has also introduced a quote unquote fork in the road buyout program, encouraging voluntary resignations. However, only about 75,000 employees accepted the offer, falling short of the desired 10% workforce reduction. Some critics argue that these measures are politically motivated and could undermine essential public services. The American Federation of Government Employees has filed lawsuits claiming the terminations violate due process and fairness principles. Additionally, some federal judges have blocked certain layoffs and restructuring efforts, leading to legal challenges against the administration's actions. The rapid implementation of these layoffs has led to significant disruptions within federal agencies. Some employees were given as little as 30 minutes to vacate their offices upon receiving termination notices. The administration plans further cuts, with Musk advocating at some points for the elimination of entire agencies to achieve a more efficient government structure. Did you receive a termination email as part of the government's restructuring? You're not alone, and there's thousands of federal employees just like you who received that email. They're facing the same reality. But here's the thing, you do have options, okay? And in this video, we're gonna walk through 8 crucial steps to help you move forward with confidence. So I'm just gonna go through these steps one by one and outline a couple of things that you can do to gain confidence. Even though you've received this email and even though you're a probationary employee, I wanna try to build confidence to let you know that you've got some options and that you can walk through this and make sure that you gain some level of dignity and another level of employment, perhaps somewhere else, depending on what you want to do. Step one, you've got to determine your mission. You want to ask yourself, do I want to transition to the private sector? Do I want to transition to somewhere else in industry, perhaps an industrial position, a trade, or something like that? Do I want to get into consulting? Do I want to start my own business? So identifying your next step right now is crucial. I know that there's a level of grief and lament right now. I know that there's a level of shock and frustration. You may feel like you just got hit by a Mack truck. But whenever you get an opportunity, stop and determine what your mission is and the next steps that you need to make. Step two, you want to gather some intelligence around the situation. You want to review your termination details very carefully. You want to check to see if there's any relocation reimbursement. You also want to check to see if there's any severance packages that might be due to you, and then see what kind of legal options that you have as a recourse for what has just happened to you with regard to being a probationary employee and being laid off from the federal government. Step three, you want to determine any logistics and resources that you might have. For example, if you moved for your federal position, do you have a short-term housing plan? If you've moved from, say, California to DC or vice versa, or somewhere in the South, or maybe even to the Northeast for a federal job, do you have a contingency housing plan to make sure that you and your family not only are safe, but that you guys are financially taken care of during the time that you're looking for another job? That's something that you really want to consider, and you want to tap into some of the government resources that you have, because now is the time to assess any immediate needs that might be there. Step four, I'd like to break it up into sort of three categories, and it's developing contingency plans. So category A would be to find a similar job to what you were doing and what you got hired for the government for, and find that job as fast as humanly possible. You may want to tap into the previous job that you were at, see if there's any way that they have room to get you back in, explain the situation to them, and see if you can get rehired. Some jobs will do it within a certain time frame. If you haven't left within a certain time frame, they'll rehire you back to that job, considering the fact, or perhaps they have to consider the fact of whether or not they've already placed somebody in your billet or in your position. If they haven't placed somebody in that position and they're still looking for someone, it could very well be that you could get back into that job that you just left, depending on the situation and the circumstance. Plan B, the second part of that, is to consider remote work or consider gig work. And you may want to consider remote work or gig work in the place that you just left. If you're still in the same city or the same state and you're not too far, your government job wasn't too far, or maybe you got hired for a remote position, you may want to consider something else within that same geographical location. And you want to also leverage, this is the third part of it, you want to leverage your network for new opportunities. You want to talk to some of the people that you know, talk to some of the people that have perhaps helped you gain employment in the past, and see if you can leverage some of those networks for opportunities in the future. Step five is to integrate your assets and resources. Listen, don't panic, don't get nervous, don't have anxiety. It's natural to do those things, but you've got to make decisions right now. And so take some time to really kind of ground yourself and figure out what's going on. Maybe do some breathing exercises and stop for a second and assess the situation, because you've got decisions to make. So then once you've got yourself calmed, then you need to take a look at your savings and emergency funds. Look into any side hustles that you can do, just so you're not financially in straits right now. Because I know whenever you move for a government job, or whenever you start a government job, you make plans based on those days you were expecting to get paid. So there's bills to be concerned with. There's other financial concerns with regard to maybe your children, or with regard to maybe even your household income with you and your spouse. So you want to stop and consider all of those aspects, and then tap into any level of government assistance if it's available from the agency that hired you, or maybe from where you came from. Step six, you want to establish a timeline. How long are you going to be able to establish or sustain your lifestyle before securing new employment? You want to sit down, talk to the people who you're closely associated with, your family circle and friends, and you want to say, hey, listen, just be honest with them and be upfront with them and say, listen, I can't survive longer than a month, or I can't survive longer than 3 months. I can't survive longer than 6 months with the amount of savings or the amount of funds, whether that be from stocks or bonds or securities or whatever. I can't survive longer than, say, 6 months. This is not the time for pride. This is not the time for arrogance. This is the time for survival, so that you can set yourself up to thrive. So sit down, think about it, establish a timeline. And if you're not ready now, and if you've got other sources of income, you want to tap into those sources of income that you might have and see if you can save for the next things to come. Step number 7, and I'll talk more about this later, but step number 7 is to master an interview method. The interview method that I like to use in response to questions that are given is the STAR method. And STAR simply means situation, task, action, and result. The situation is you set the stage. The task is you're going to talk about what your role was. Action is how did you handle it? And then the result, what was the outcome? And I'm going to do a whole video. I'll talk about this at the end of the video, but I'm going to do a whole video about interview methods. I won't spend a lot of time on it now, but STAR is one of the methods that you can use. And step number 8 which is perhaps the most important step during this very crucial time, is that self-care is non-negotiable. You need to take care of yourself. Your mental health matters. You want to stick to healthy routines like staying physically active and surrounding yourself with positive influences. Listen, it's it's hard enough to maintain your self-care when things are going relatively well. It's so much more important now to maintain your self-care when things are not going well and when you've just got this news, right? This can be considered as a traumatic event. So I would encourage anyone who feels like they need to talk to someone or feels like they might need therapy or feels like that they may be having certain thoughts. Please, I'm going to leave a link in the resource link to the NIH, National Mental Health Hotline and Services. And I want you to take advantage of those services if you feel like you're at a point where you need those services. That is what they're for. Everybody is human and people have different reactions to different things. So if this is something that is really bothering you, I want to stress and emphasize this point. I don't want anyone to miss this. If this is something that is really bothering you and is really getting to you where you're starting to feel like, man, I don't know if I can go on, or I really need to talk to someone, or I'm having a difficult time with this where it's beginning to affect my mind, my body, stressing me out, those types of things, please seek out help. There are resources available. Family, being laid off is very, very tough. It's very difficult, but it's also an opportunity. I know where you are. I've been where you are. Some of the people that I've talked to say that this is the best thing that could happen to them. They feel like that it's pushing them toward their purpose. It's pushing them toward their original destiny and their plan for their lives. So depending on the perspective of the lens by which you look at this can be something that is really, really helpful to you. But then I also want to be sensitive to the fact that people who had high expectations for what this might have meant for their career and for their lives, they may not be feeling that level of encouragement, that level of push into purpose and passion. They may just be feeling really hurt, really disappointed, really shocked and dismayed right now. I want to let you know that as an aspiring mental health professional, as someone who has had plenty of experience, I'm going to be here for you. And also I have contact information where you can reach out. And if you reach out and I can't help you directly, I definitely can point you to resources that'll be able to assist you in your time of need. The last thing I want to say, if you've stuck around to this point in the video, is I have been thinking, I talked to a friend earlier today about the fact that I believe that we've all been given gifts and talents for specific reasons or for specific purposes and timing. Although the videos that I've been doing recently are not necessarily connected to the purpose of my channel, I had to really stop and think and say they are connected to the purposes of my channel. I'm Royal Rock Wellness, right? So wellness encompasses so many different aspects. It encompasses the mental aspect, it encompasses financial aspect, it encompasses the physical aspect and the emotional aspect and the spiritual aspect, all of those things that help a person be completely whole. So what I'm going to do is I am going to perform this labor of love. For those of you who don't know, I really have deep levels of experience in helping people navigate through getting employment. And so because I am one of you, I'm a federal worker as well. And I am going through these paces as well of this uncertainty and wondering what's next and wondering what's around the corner with regard to federal employment. I am going to take the time to walk through all of the different phases of finding a job, preparing for an interview, doing a curriculum vitae, if that's what you have, or doing a cover letter, and all of the specific aspects of that. I'm going to make a series of videos that I hope will be helpful to some of you who really aren't used to this kind of thing. You really aren't used to looking for a job. Perhaps you're a little bit like me and some of my other friends. Maybe you've been in the military for a long time, or maybe you've just been working for the government for a very long time, and you've still got some work left in you, and you want to go get out there and try to find a different passion or a different career or a different job, but you just don't know where to start. I'm going to complete a series of videos. I'm going to record and produce a series of videos, and I will release them next week. And they're going to have a lot of detail, and I mean nitty gritty practical detail, like forms, things you can take with you and use in an immediate fashion, because there's a sense of urgency here that needs to be had for everyone. And there's no time to waste on complex or complicated forms and things of that nature. We're going to get into some of the things that you need to look out for as you move forward. But when it comes to just having real practical ideas on how to secure and land employment for the security, the financial stability of your family, we don't have a lot of time to waste. So I want to be in it with you. Thank you so much to everyone who is watching these videos and subscribing to my channel. I promise you, I'm going to get to the mental health content, the specific mental health content with regard to counseling theories and such. But I really feel a strong sense that I need to take just a bit of a detour here and really outline some of these things that have helped me in my career, some of the things, some of the experience and the insight and the wisdom that I've gained. I want to give it to you. And I want to make sure that you have it so that you can be armed for whatever is to come in the future with regard to your career in federal employment. So thanks again, everyone, for watching. Be on the lookout on my channel for more information, more resources, more tips that I believe and hope and pray will help you. And always remember, even during these times, live royally and live well. I'll see you in the next video.